He doesn't need much introduction. We all know who he is. Absolute world soccer legend. Number 4.
Thank you.
The Invincibles. I mean, what else is there to say? Our coach, our boy in blue, Patrick Vieira.
Don't start with the question yet. So this time I will be the one who asking the question. So you guys, like I think I met some of you last time, and I make you understand how important part you will have to play in our success. And of course in my staff I have some of the guys who was part of the team last year, and they give me the feedback about the team, what went well, what went wrong, and what they think that I will have to work on. Yeah, so we can just start this Q&A, me asking you a question regarding the team last year, because I think having your feedback will be really important to me to try to fix some of the stuff that you guys are expecting. Yeah? So let's go. Yeah? Okay. No, I'm the one who asking the question. She doesn't listen. That's what I have to deal with the players. So now the question I have for you is, looking at the team last year, what do you think went wrong? Who wants to answer that question? Yes.
Back line.
Yeah. The back line?
Yeah, back line didn't work at all well together.
Yeah?
We need a general on the back line.
Okay.
We need a better build up from back to forward, like
What you mean by that?
building the attacks from back, like the back 4 to up front, like there was a missing connection between the back 4 and, like the right and left, like going forward.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it was lack of depth, especially at center back. You could tell the guys were really tired by the end of the season. We didn't have that solid depth. I know we took a gamble on some players in the draft that didn't work out as far as injuries go. So I think that there wasn't a lot. It was a lot to be expected for Hernandez and Mena to really put in a shift every single game. I think it was a lack of depth as well.
There were still so many rotations on the back line too. I mean, I don't think we had the same 4 guys play more than 3 games in a row together. So I think if we can get a cohesive back 4 and at least build that communication and trust, they'll play better, trust each other more and stuff like that. I just think they didn't know each other.
I think I get to start Koku every game.
You've been saying that.
Way pushed on the bench.
He's moving himself.
I will have to start this guy. I will have to start him.
I agree that the back line was at times problematic, but I actually don't think that was the main problem. I think the main problem was in the offense, the front. They weren't really connecting well. Outside of David Villa, we didn't really have anybody that understood how to keep a play going forward. The ball would get to the midfield, reach a certain player, and and end up going backwards. And David, he always holds a high line. He was expecting service into him so he could continue to get forward, and it was not happening. So, early in the season, especially that long stretch where we had no wins, we weren't being obliterated by teams. It was like 1-0, 2-1. We couldn't score. Teams will give up goals. That happens. But I think overall, our main problem was we couldn't score.
I said the midfield and the front. I said communication and just teamwork wasn't 100%. Everybody wants to. I felt the way seeing them play, they wanted to do their own stuff. And there was opportunities when I saw playback in the VR and just seeing also live. There was opportunities where you could pass and make goals, and it just didn't see it. It just worked. Play by themselves, in my point of view.
I think along the same lines of the scoring, I think that was also from a lot of set pieces. I know there's a couple games in a row where I think Vieira scored every time on a free kick for a couple games, and then for most of the season, it seems like teams weren't scared of giving up the free kick close to the box. They weren't scared of giving up corners. I don't really remember any big time goals that were scored close to the box from the free kick or from the corner when they really needed it.
Right. Because there was really no height there, especially after Nemec left.
That was bad one.
Well, I was going to say though, actually, piggybacks with that is that we really had 3 teams last season. It was a brand new season, brand new team. They all had to gel, and as soon as they did, a whole new player would come in. And we're happy to have had Pirlo join when he did, and Lampard finally come. But it was 3 completely new seasons that happened, and hopefully now they've worked together a little bit, and we have some ideas for things, and it'll move forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2 of our 3 core players were brought in mid-season, and you saw that like Vieira took free kicks up to that point, and we had like 4 goals off it. Then Pirlo adjusting to like a new ball, even he scored like no kicks off of that. So I think having that preseason, having them develop together from the start all the way to the end will be very helpful.
Thank you very much for your feedback. I think that's just showing how interested you are on try to understand the team and try to understand what we try to do on the field. And the last question I will have for you is that how do you see your relationship with the players? What do you want, or what can we do to be a little bit more closer to each other? Is good, is not good, we can improve it. What is the ideas on the table? What do you think about it? How was the relationship with the players?
Well, I think the relationship was great, but I would like to be invited to a few more open practices during the season. There weren't very many opportunities to do that. I'd love to go to the practice and see the team practice during the week.
That is something easy to do.
I thought it was interesting that a lot of the players live up in Westchester, and no players live in Brooklyn, Queens, the city. They'd be closer to the fans if they were there.
Yeah, make them all move.
Wow. Close to me? I see him all the time. Yeah, I would definitely love to see more giving back after games. Josh Saunders was absolutely amazing with that last season, and outside, and it was strange for me to watch because you would think that the team would see that and say, man, they love Josh. You know, maybe I should go over and at least say hey or something, but it still didn't happen. You know, if they do a lap or whatever and just put a hand up, they get that love back immediately because people just want to be as close to them as possible. Supporters especially. If it as simple as walking over in front of that section and just putting a hand up, like that's worlds away from what we had last season outside of Josh Saunders.
Dallas
And
was a good
Dallas,
example.
yeah, Dallas was. I mean, people were furious.
Jason
after Dallas.
Hernandez was the only player to even look around for the fan group.
It was difficult for them to spot us because we were kind of out of the way, but like,
he
they
was
didn't
the
even
only
look.
player to walk around. And
One of the best. That's why I'm a big fan of the German league, and I think what they're doing in Germany, home or away, players getting hand together and going to say thanks to the fans for coming. I think that is brilliant and that is fantastic. So it's really good feedback that I will speak with Josh because he's one of the leaders in the dressing room. And if he can manage, and with the help of myself and David as a captain, to manage to come to see the fans after the games at home or away, to just say thank you for your presence, I think that would be good for you guys and even for us as well. Because I believe that is a new football club, and we have a lot to build, but to build together. And some points like that you just make, that will help us to grow up and to have a really strong football club where fans and players can interact. So your feedback is massively important. So that's good. I will relay that to the players when we will be in the pre-season. So that's good. So let's open the question then.
Well, my last count was 6 open roster spots for the first team, with 2 international spots available. Anything in the works that you can let us know about?
No. No. What I can tell you is that with Claudio and the rest of the guys, we are working hard to bring players who can improve the team. We don't just want to bring players just for the sake of bringing any players, because you will be surprised of how many players from Europe or around the world who want to come to this football club. And we have to choose the right player who can fit in what we try to do here. And it will take time, it's not going to be easy. We want to bring the right players, so it will help us to go to the different level. But we are working to bring players, and it will be some more signing.
How do you balance playing time with some of the younger guys like Poku, Mix, and Kyrie and Mullins versus playing them in their like natural roles on the field with the formation you put out?
You know, it was quite interesting because I spent time in Puerto Rico with the players on the 1v1, just having a normal conversation and asked them about how they felt last year. And majority of them was feeling a little bit, they was playing out of position. And for me, it was really important to know that. If you want to take the best out of the player, you have to play him as a strong position, where he can express himself, where he can express his talent. And I know Poku quite well, and he's a really interesting talent. And I told him that I expect a lot from him this year, because he can be one of our best players, but he can be one of the best players in the league. But I believe in that, but he needs to believe in that as well. And I will help him to grow up as a player and as a person. And I told him that I will put a lot of pressure on his shoulder. And he will have to deal, because you guys expect a lot from him, and he has to deal with that. He has to deal with that. That is the world where we're living. He has to deal with the pressure, and of course my job will be to help him to deal with that kind of pressure, to allow him to express himself, because he's a really talented young player.
What do you think is his natural or best position? Closer to the front or further to the mid?
I think he has the potential to do the box-to-box player. I think he's got the strength to get to the box at the right time to score the goals, but at the same time he's got the strength to help our back four and help the holding midfielder. I expect a lot from him. He will have a massive part to play in our success this season. Any other question?
I know one thing that I think everyone's kind of touched upon is that it almost seems as if there are multiple people with different philosophies that were trying to create the team last year. Where I feel like we have like 6 central midfielders who could have all started at any point in time. And I don't know if that's something that's going to continue on to this next season, or how would you handle that as coach, knowing that we have so many good players, for example, in the midfield, and to get them that time that they would like?
I think the reason why we have so many central midfielders was the last coaching staff wanted to play in a different shape that I think I will play. That's why we went for Jack Harrison in the draft, because he brings us something that we didn't have last year. He's a wide player, he likes to be on the line, he likes to be in a situation where he can express himself in a 1v1 situation. And I think he's a really, really interesting type of player that will bring a lot to our team. And I think I know the way that we're going to play is to have proper wingers. And yes, we have a lot of central midfielder, and we need more winger with pace who can run behind the opposition back four.
Being on, I already asked a question.
I think we all agree that formation needs to change. Do you have any ideas on what kind of formation you might be playing with this team?
Why formation need to change?
I don't think it works.
Why
Like you
formation?
said, there are too many players playing out of position. I think that if rather than move them around, it might be easier to switch the formation a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's important for me to give identity to the team, to make them understand the system that we want to play. And then formation can change. You can play 3 at the back, you can play 4 at the back, you can play 3 in the midfield, or you can have a back line of 5, you can play with 2 up front, you can play with wingers. You have a different system. But what is important, I believe, is the animation of the system. What is the responsibility of the players? What they have to do when they have the ball? And for me, that is more important than the system, because the system you can change, you can play with it depending against which team you're playing for against. So the objective is players to be aware of their role and responsibility with or without the ball. Yeah.
So obviously having Frank Lampard and Pirlo on the team is great, but they're older players and they're not the fastest players that we have. So I think one of the problems last year was that we had a big gap in the midfield where players could get, from the other team, could get to the other side really fast. Have you thought about how we can fix that?
You know what? I'm not really worried at all about age. The question I had from them and the answer that I received was what I was expecting, because I know those players quite really well. You don't have the career they had if you don't have a fire inside you, and if you don't they want to win. They are here to win something, and that for me mean more than if they are 40 years or 30 years or anything like that. That is something that we can deal with. It's just about when is the best time to play them, when is the best time to give them. That is the kind of relationship that I will have with them. But to have the experience for the team is a massive plus. And when you're talking about the gap in the midfield, I think it's not it's more about the organization of the team than the age problem, because it's all depending where the ball is, and then the line between the midfield and the back four has to push, or the front players have to come a little bit more. It's all about my responsibility to make them understand that less gap we have between the line, better it is for the team. So it is my responsibility to coach them on the right way, so we're not going to have this kind of gap that you are talking about. So then you can blame me. Yeah.
Being both at Manchester and now New York, do you see any downsides of this club being owned by City Football Group?
I think when we're talking about City Football Group, we're talking about City, we're talking about New York, we're talking about Melbourne. That is part of the family. But what is important is each football club has its own identity, has its own culture. And I think when you're coming to New York, we have the culture of the diversity. The culture of New York is lively, and I don't want to change that. And I think if I try to change that, I would not gonna have any chance to succeed, because you guys will want my head out. It's all about having the New York culture with everything's going around it, and try for me to adapt myself, to learn from you guys, and then to bring a little bit of my experience as a player and how I see the game. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
I think one of the issues that I noticed last season was, being that we play at Yankee Stadium, it's a lot smaller field as far as the width of the field. And when we played, for example, when we played at Red Bull Arena, it's a lot wider of a pitch. How are we going to kind of fix that issue where this season we have long stretches where we're home and then we're away, with kind of keeping the players from getting accustomed to playing so close to kind of spreading the field? Because I feel like that was a issue we had playing against Red Bull and like Seattle when they came to us and played teams that had.
It is a big problem, because especially the way that I will want the team to play, to play at the Yankees will make it even more difficult. But we've been working on that. We know that will be an issue, and we have to be prepared. So we can't have, as a coaching staff, we can't have that as an excuse because we know that will be a problem. So we have to adapt ourselves to that situation. We may have to play a different way from home and away, but we will have to adapt ourselves. So for me or the players, that will be an easy way to say it, oh, that is the reason why we lost. We know it's the issues, we know it's a problem. We have to face it, we have to deal with it, and we have to find a solution. It is my job to find a solution to deal with it. And we have to find a solution to win games. But at the same time, that can be a massive advantage for us because having the pitch so tight, we can put a lot of pressure on the opposition team. You guys can be more supportive and making more noise. And the Yankee Stadium has to be a fortress, we said in French. So when teams come in, we'll have to struggle. When teams come in to play us at the Yankee Stadium, we shouldn't give them time to breathe. We couldn't give them time to breathe. We have to be on top of them. And to be top of them with you help, that is something that team has to come to the Yankees and get it scared to play. And that is why the weakness, we have to use it as our advantage. And not try to find excuses why we lost the game. We have to turn that to our strength.
So from what you know about the team so far and the players that you have, what do you think is a realistic target for where you guys finish this year?
You know what? I think some of you guys was at at Baltimore, and I told you that last time when we managed to get Jack Harrison and the way that you guys react make me understand that second is not good enough.
Right.
It's not good enough.
Right.
So we have to finish first. And we don't gonna have a choice. And I think you guys expect us to finish at the top. And I have to send that message to the players. Finish second is not good enough. We want to be at the top. We want to be the best team. And it will be my job to challenge the players, to push them with your support. And I strongly believe with the quality of the players that we have in our team, we can do it. We can do it. So you are under pressure as well.
This may not have an answer, but this, besides what you mentioned with this gentleman here, besides just keeping loud and like just being very supportive during games, is there anything that you would like to see from like supporter section during games, or is there anything that we can do further rather than, you know, other than just like keeping chants up and keeping the energy up? Is there anything that you immediately see, like, you know what, I would love to see, like, or hear from the fans is this? Is there anything that you could personally like add to that?
I think it's one of you guys was mentioning coming to watch the team in training, and I think that's for me is really good. Players players need to feel that the fans are behind, the city are behind them. And the best way to do it is to create more contacts between fans and players. And we have to work together as a big football group to achieve our target. And you're massively important because it's really difficult in football to play with the same energy for the 95 minutes. So during the game we'll have a time where we're going to have a little bit down and we're going to be difficult period we're going to go through, and that is a period where we will need you. Where we will need you to make more noise, to support us more, because you will help us to go through to the difficult period. And for the players to know that the city is behind them, there's nothing more important than that. And sometimes fans don't realize how important they are. And maybe it's our fault because we don't show you and we don't give you so much love, like coming after the game and just say thank you. But you have to understand that you have a massive, massive part to play. Massive part to play. Are you feeling the pressure now? No, it's true, you have a massive part to play.
My name is Sky. I'm from Beşiktaş, USA. We are brotherhood club with the NYCFC, and we are from Istanbul. We had a limited team, like back in the day in Beşiktaş, and we played with the giants, like Barcelona, Manchester, Liverpool, Chelsea, and we beat them all in our own stadium with the support of the, like 40,000 fans, going crazy. And in that time, our team was worth about maybe $2 million. But the other team, Barcelona, maybe it was worth about $200 million. But we were able to beat them with the support of the fans.
And I think this is a fantastic example. Fans have a massive part to play. How many teams who, with the support, can beat a team like Barcelona? I remember Celtic played Barcelona at Celtic, and the fans were so unbelievable that the players, they play to the level that they never even themselves expect to play. And to get to that level with the support of the fan can make you achieve anything. So yes, last year wasn't the season that we was expected, but we have to looking forward. And the season ahead can be unbelievable with your support.
Guys, real quick, we're going to do 2 more questions. We're on our 20-minute mark. So just 2 more questions.
Last year we got a loan. We got Angelino. I guess, could speak for myself, he was one of the best defenders. And also good winger from my point of view when they play him in the midfield. Any chance we could get him back? I mean, you train him, you play with him.
Yeah, he's a really talented young player, and his experience here last year was really successful because it really helped him to be even a better player. I tried to, but he wanted to take a different way, and I think you have to respect that decision. But he came here and he went back to Manchester as a better player and a better person. And I think these the players that he was playing around, and with your support, he learned a lot. But he wanted to take a different way this time. But there's still some young, really interesting young players at Manchester City. But we are, at the moment, we didn't plan taking any of them. But that can change. But something that is sure is that any young players that we will gonna bring from City has to bring something to the football club, has to bring something to the team. If not, that means they are not ready to perform at that level. Angelino came, she came because they was ready to cope with the physical demand and with the tactical and the technical demand of the league. So if we don't bring any players, is that because they are not ready yet?
Last question. There you go.
Hello. All right, so with your experience in the European leagues, French, English, Italian leagues, are you going to bring that type of style with mostly American players? And is that your vision, or are you going to adapt more to the American style of soccer?
I will have to adapt myself, but I will want to bring at the same time the experience I had in Europe. I don't want to throw away all the American way of doing things, of thinking, because like I was saying earlier on, if I try to do it, I will not gonna last long. And my plan is to last here for the next few years. I've been really lucky because I played under some fantastic managers. I played some fantastic football clubs. So I learned a lot from doing my career. And it will be important for me to find out what can fix or what can work here, and what the things that I think that will not gonna work, I'm just gonna put it on the side or throw it away. I will have to be really clever about what I can use to fit the need of the players. Because at the end of the day, what is important for me is to try to get the best of every single one of them.